Hello, everyone. Welcome to Academy of Astrology UK. I'm Rhoda Chang, and today is our Let's Talk About Fixed Stars. And I think we all know I couldn't make this episode without my best friend, Christian. Hi, Christian.
Hi, Rod.
Hi. Hi. So, okay, Christian, what we planning to talk about today?
We prepared Alnilam, the star in Orion's belt.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So is Alnilam and is Orion's belt. Well, I think Orion is a kind of an important constellation in our, I think in our world. I think no matter where, there's always a mythology related to the this constellation. I think I usually heard about most intriguing me is the pyramids. They say pyramids are related to Orion Belt. And I heard about there's some debate and some people say it's not true. And there's also the things about the whole Orion constellation is represented in different figures in our society, in our culture. So I think I know the Orion, we call it Orion because the Greek mythology, and I don't know, am I correct, but the in Egyptian mythology, I think they are related to Osiris, right? Yes, so, but it's very interesting. What I like Orion is the in the sky, in the night sky, you can see this constellation from like winter, from winter to the early spring. Then in like a October in the early morning, it start to appear in the sky. Then whole winter in the, I mean, North Hemisphere, sorry. If you're South Hemisphere, it's a summer. The whole winter in the North Hemisphere, you can see Orion appear every day in the night sky, and that is a huge constellation. It's really like a giant walking in the sky. It's a beautiful, beautiful image. Like now you can see it. And so the Orion has quite a few important fixed star, right? Hello, Christian, are you still with me?
I'm with you. I'm just listening, very fascinated what you're saying.
Yeah, I would think, oh, where are you now? Okay, so yes, so we have quite a few fixed star in Orion, and we couldn't make all of them today. So today we pick up the one of them. But you all heard about Beetlejuice, like the movie. That's how I know Beetlejuice. And then we have Bellatrix. Well, another movie. I mean, Harry Potter. And then we have, yeah?
Of course.
Yes, Harry Potter. And we have Rigel. I think we should make a movie about it too. Okay, but today's our main character, Alnilam. Well, it's 3-star in the Orion Belt, 3-star. Their name, okay, I'll read their name from left to right is Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. I think for me, if you lost in the sky, but you see the Orion, it's very important for you to remember which part of the sky you are looking at. First, these 3-star, especially the third one, the Mintaka, is a mark. It's the place where a celestial equator passed by. So only 3-star has the declination of a 0 degree or -1 degree, or we say 1 degree south hemisphere. So you know that you are looking at the celestial equator. Above it is North Hemisphere, and the lower it is South Hemisphere. And that is like a mark for you to draw a line and you know where you are. This is also quite interesting. Then we come to the name of Alnilam, and Orion belts. Alnilam, I think, is come from Arabian, and I think one of explanation say the meaning of it is a belt of pearls. I think these 3 stars, like a little jewelry, trained together is quite beautiful. But I think its name also called Epsilon Orionis. Okay, and the magnitude, appearance magnitude is 1.68. Then it has like a blue-white color, so its spectrum is type B, which means it has temperature about 10,000 to 30,000 K. The most important, I think, I always say, for astrologers, we like to know where it is in the zodiac. Okay, so today, 2020, around 2020, or we're 2022, sorry, 2020, Alnilam's celestial longitude is at 23 Gemini 44 degree, and then year 2000, a little back, 23 Gemini 28. If you were born in 1960s, then it is at 22 degree for 54. So this is if you so-called, if you want to use the star alignment method, which means if you have any planet or angle or part of fortune or nodes at 23 Gemini 44, 23 degree Gemini 11, then you will say, I have a planet or my ascendant align. I suggest use this word, align with Alnilam. Rather say conjunction. Okay, but this is kind of a very picking way to say it. But you can say conjunction. I know it, but I would suggest say align, because it's they are just aligned. They are not together. They are not really conjoined. Okay, they are aligned. Okay, so
may I interrupt you?
Oh yes, please.
It's always important to say this is one method to work with fixed stars, and there's another one that we both like too.
Yeah.
This is working with the method of params, and
yes.
I think you're absolutely right by saying this is in alignment and not in conjunction. They are not conjunct, they are far, far away from each other.
Yeah.
The stars of Orion have nothing to do with the ecliptics. So it's a approach that a lot of people use, but I think, and I think you too, this is a problematic approach.
Well,
this way.
Some people will maybe just call us a D-head. Like, why you guys so picky? Anyway, okay, it's just a terminology, and I think I prefer the word align, which because they are not together. They are on the same degree of celestial longitude, but they are not conjunct. Anyway, we don't stay here. We have to move on. So, well, I know we're talking about a lot of fixed star, and the people, when we always talking about fixed star, people always refer back to Vivian Rapson or everything. Interestingly, I mean, the first things when they talk about fixed star, they usually like to relate it to planet, the quality of nature of some planet. So, well, according to Ptolemy, all Orion constellation, apart from Betelgeuse and apart from Bellatrix, they all have the nature or quality of Jupiter and Saturn, which I slowly understand the interpretation of this method. It's like you are explain a set of aspects. So, which means in their view, Alnilam or other fixed stars in Orion have the meaning of Jupiter and Saturn, which means maybe expansion, developing in a very solid way, in a very realistic way. So let's see how Robson talking about the Alnilam. He said the joint influence to give strength, energy, industry, organizing ability, good fortune, lasting happiness, a sharp mind, and a good memory. I say, wait a minute, how they get this from? I think maybe just because the Jupiter and the Saturn are both kind of very solid, very socializing, social planet. So he used interpretation about like an important thingy. Well, another book I like, but today I also have feel a little bit confused about what Marcus Manilius says. Marcus Manilius, his way I always like because he used mythology to interpret the constellation. Then he say a son of Orion, which means people who born under Orion's influence will be worth a multitude and will sing to Drew in every quarter of the city, flying from door to door with one word of a morning greeting. He will enjoy friendship of all. And I say, wait a minute. This is not Orion, I know. So, I mean, I have to hand this to Christian. I think he has something to tell us. Hello.
So, share screen and start presentation. Rod has shown you this view. This is a current sky with the stars of Orion. You probably recognize the belt of Orion. Of course, this is a perspective of the northern hemisphere. And here you can see the stick figure of Orion of 2022. It's, of course, in ancient times, it was different. And in Babylon, for example, Orion was called the shepherd of Anu. Anu is the lord of heaven. He's called the divine personification of the sky. He was the ancestor of all deities in ancient Mesopotamia. And he is described in one text as the one, that's a quote, who contains the entire universe. And when we go back to Greek mythology, Orion was a gigantic, supernaturally strong hunter, and many myths relating to Orion. And one myth recounts Gaia's rage at Orion, who dared to say that he would kill every animal on Earth. And angry Gaia tried to dispatch Orion with a scorpion. And this is given as a reason that the constellation of Scorpius and Orion are never in the sky at the same time.
May I interrupt? Because
of course.
Is very interesting, because I think ancient people noticed this part of astronomy, night sky astronomy, which means when Orion setting, Scorpion rising, or when Scorpion rising, Orion setting, because also in Chinese, I want to say, maybe let's say mythology. One part of mythology talking about Orion and the Scorpion are brother, but they hate each other. So they never want to see each other. So when the Scorpion brother coming up, the Orion go away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All the same ideas in different cultures, in different disguises. Very interesting. Yes. Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, revived Orion with an antidote, and in some versions the scorpion is driven away by Artemis. And as Rod said before, Alnilam is in Orion's belt, and some stone sculptures from the end of the Neolithic period depicts belts. And several belts made of metal chain cords were found in graves from the Bronze Age. And the fastener of these belts consisted of a belt hook. So the belt buckle is an innovation from Roman times. And according to the, oh my God, please bear with me, I can't even pronounce the name in German, not to mention in English, so I wrote it down. This guy, it's not a guy.
It's a sword.
It's a book. It's a book.
Okay.
And in this book, you can read that the god Thor wields some magic objects, of course, his hammer, iron gloves to handle his powerful hammer, and a magic belt that gave its wearer never-ending strength. And because of this belt, Thor could prove his strength by lifting extremely heavy objects. There is another story about the dwarf King Orion, who gained the strength of 12 men through his belt. And he also is attributed to Orion's belt. And in Finnish mythology, Orion's belt is called, okay, sorry, I can't articulate this word either.
What? Spiel? I'm sorry, I just dare.
I tried to practice this, but I was totally lost. So I said, I just write it down.
Okay.
And this guy is a demigod and a hero from Finnish mythology, and the main character in the Finnish national epic, the Kalevala. And he was described as an old and wise man and possessed a powerful magic singing voice. And he was probably, some guy found this out, that this guy was probably J.R.R. Tolkien's inspiration of the wizard Gandalf from the Lord of the Ring. And as I said, in Finnish mythology, they say this Orion's belt is the belt of this guy. And as Rod mentioned before, there is this so-called Orion Correlation theory from Beauval and Gilbert. They introduced this theory. And they postulated that the pyramids of Giza were aligned with Orion's belt. And accordingly, our star Alnilam corresponds to the Khafre pyramid. But, okay, there's always a but the Orion correlation theory is really subject to critical discussion in academic circles. And Dr. Ed Krupp of the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles pointed out that the curved line formed by the three pyramids deviated to the north, while the curve in the line of Orion's belt was deformed to the south.
Oh, yeah.
And he said in a BBC documentary, to make the map of the pyramids on the ground match the stars of Orion in the sky, you have to turn Egypt upside down. And if you don't want to do that, then you've got to turn the sky upside down.
Allow me. Damn you scientists, you've broken our dream.
Yes, I really would love it if that idea would be true, because, you know, the Egyptians were people who extensively worked with the stars and who really brought the stars down to Earth. I would love if that is true.
Yeah.
And another argument against this correlation theory is that there are over 75 other pyramids in Egypt, and not even one of them matches star positions. And the Egyptologist Kate Spence points out that the Egyptian builders were not inspired by specific stars. Their position resulted from very practical limitations of the building site, she said. So let's put it mildly, there is some debate about the Orion correlation.
You were very gentle and nice.
Libra. So I think it's always very difficult to decide which personification of Orion is active in a star of this constellation. As you said before, the Egyptian Osiris or the Greek Orion. So always difficult to distinguish, is it Osiris or is it, the Greek Orion? And I think Alnilam has more to do with the Greek Orion. So astrologically, Alnilam is a fastener that connects the two endings of a male warrior's belt. So in this way, it brings together different objects, ideas, concepts, or people in a very practical, tangible way that has stood the test of time. And different things are linked and connected practically under one banner. And according to wonderful, great Bernadette Brady, Alnilam takes what is known and improves, expands, and connects it so that something new emerges from it. But please note, Alnilam has nothing to do with Hegel's thesis, antithesis, or synthesis. In synthesis, thesis and antithesis become something completely new. It's like an alchemical transformation, so to speak. And I think Alnilam functions more in intersections. Here, something new is created from two things, but the two things are still recognizable. I think that's important. For example, you have astromedicine. This was created from astrology, of course, and medicine, but both ingredients are still recognizable. And this star can build bridges between ideas and people to form something that is more than the sum of its part. And people with Alnilam are fantastic mediators. You know, mediation, of course, you know, is a structured, interactive process where an impartial mediator assists disputing parties in a resolving conflict. And as Bernadette Brady says, Alnilam can find solutions in unusual places and can think outside the box. So Alnilam people are great with finding connections between ideas or people. So this is my approach to Alnilam.
I quite like what you say. The first, I know we both not Jim Barney, but when you talk about a bell give power, then suddenly, because a couple days ago I was in the gym and then I saw one bodybuilder. Suddenly he take the belt out before he do the weightlifting.
Great idea.
And I always wonder, say, why they doing that? Well, people say they use belt to try to, enhance their abdominal power and also the core, and also try to protect themselves. So I think beautifully, I just think about it. Nowadays we can still see in the gym, but we don't go to gym very often. But but you should know those gym bunny, they do that. So
that of a male warrior.
Oh, a female. A lot of female weightlifting too. Weightlifter too.
Yeah,
And yeah.
You're right, of course. Yeah.
Anyway, but another story. I'm sorry. I just like when you talk about it, and I just realized before we start, I was checking who has this kind of related to these stars, and one person, just like his name jump out, I think is a Paul McCartney. He has Alnilam on the MC. Well, I mean, what I say is perimeter. So when he was born, the moment Alnilam is right on the, commating, is right commating in his birth time. So that is interesting about him is if you compare Beatles, the few different person, one we know we always think John Lennon, he's more idealism, he's more ideal. But Paul McCartney, he got ability to combine music and popularity
Okay.
and make money.
Great, great, great
I think
example.
just quick thinking about it, then I will go to my side of story. Okay, so today I prepare another side of the story about the Orion, which is in Chinese culture. I
This
hope
is
you can see
always the
this.
most this is always the most exciting part for me to hear what you have to say about the Chinese myth.
Well, for other people, it's like I don't know, it's whole Chinese. Anyway, okay. The one thing I want to introduce to our audience is the Orion and a few constellation around this part of the sky in the Chinese astrology. I refuse to call it astronomy. Chinese astrology is represented by the seven mention of white tiger. Well, today I show you is a brown tiger or khaki tiger, but well, we call it the seven mention of white tiger, which Orion represent tiger's head and the tiger's forefoot. And then followed by Orion is the part of a lower part of Taurus. You can see if I show you that this star represent the Pleiades, not Pleiades, sorry, Aldebaran. Then this part is like the neck and the shoulder of the tiger, and the Pleiades is also on the shoulder of tiger. Then we have the Aries. Whole Aries constellation represent the tummy and the stomach of the tiger. Then we have Pisces and Andromedas from the tail of tiger. I mean, it's kind of an interesting image, but I want to show a little bit of cultural side. Well, lot people believe in so-called feng shui, which I don't know how to translate. It's like how you place your house decoration or furniture to get better energy. There is a general principle, very general principle about feng shui, which nearly every people know Chinese culture know that we call it left side belong to dragon, right side belong to tiger, which is just like, oh, where they come from. Okay, that's from Chinese astrology and astronomy, which means if in the early springtime, like now, like a nearly sunset time, if you go to outdoor and face I think is the face south, I think, yes, then the dragon the dragon constellation, which means composed by the Scorpion, Virgo, will start appear from east sky. But that time, the Orion and all the like Taurus will around western sky, west part of sky on your right hand side. So that's how the Chinese feng shui talking about left side on the east side belong to a dragon, and the right side belong to tiger. That's a little bit of culture, Chinese culture things. And let's focus a little
Wow.
bit about, sorry.
Wow.
A little bit about the 27 mention of Chinese 28 mention of Chinese astrology, which I talking about the Orion is tiger's mouth. We call it Can Shu. The sun or Can, which is very simple. The very simple meaning is a number 3. So what it presents is the 3 star of the Orion Belt. And there is another symbol of this mention, 10 mention. They say this is a general or 7 general, which, if you count the Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, 3 star in the Orion Belt and Rigel and another side of Orion, that's a 7 star, they call it 7 general. So Orion Orion constellation or sun mention in Chinese astrology always related to military action or punishment, violence, and also, tiger. I mean, tiger is usually not an auspicious sign in the Chinese culture. Well, but interestingly, this three-star of Orion Belt has its own meaning. We call it Heng, which mean have some little bit different meaning. Heng has one meaning about a measurement or evaluated. So you think about it, you consider about things, you weight things and think about which one is more important. But another thing, because the three-star lines up, so Heng is also mean balance. So when people related to this mention, and they try to balance things, or they try to consider how to balance the things coming to happen. So this is a very simple idea about Orion and the Orion belts, and which include Alnilam in the Chinese astrology. But I also did a little bit research on the other cultures, and I find quite fascinating in the South Hemisphere. Include the Australian Aborigine or the New Zealand or Pacific Maoris. They all see Orion constellation as a canoe, a little boat. Very interesting. This is the Australian version. They see Orion. Look, Orion is changing according to latitude. That's how, when you're talking about Egyptian star, I was laughing. Okay, well, because this in the South Hemisphere is quite interesting. I always remember I first see Orion in Melbourne when I went to visit Melbourne, and the Orion was hanging in the sky, and I was saying, I know this is Orion, but something wrong. Something really wrong. The shape is not what I can recognize. It's upside down. Yeah. So what we recognize head is near the horizon, but it's very interesting. Oh, it also can light up like this. So we got the or Betelgeuse here and the Righteous here, and the three-star of Orion Belt is in the middle. For the Australian Aborigine story, this is three brothers try to catch a magic fish, but they are forbidden to eat it. One of them eat it. I think it's Alnilam. Then he get magic power. Okay, and another side of I think in New Zealand, Maori take the two constellations, Orion and the Taurus, become another canoe. They call it Te Waka Orange. There is a very important story and also related to what we call Maori New Year, Mataliki, which the name is Pleiades. We call it Pleiades, and they call it Mataliki of this story. So I will keep it for next time when we're going to talk about Pleiades. I will tell you this beautiful story. But we can see there is a boat.
Cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger.
A cliffhanger. I like it. So we can see, like Christian says, this is the bell. The two things join together and make something, or join two different parts and make things together. And I quite like the idea about bring the power to, and also balance. I think it is a three-star. They line up and they cut the celestial equator, which separate north and south, and it's the middle part. I quite like this image. So Christian, anything you want to edit in or remind everyone about the Orion Belt before I go to astrophotography?
Do that. I'm so excited about your wonderful great pics.
It's not wonderful. I mean, I'm still beginner, but I like to share. One thing I learned from astrophotography is Orion is so beautiful. When you see the Orion in the sky, well, yes, you see like a giant. You see like the Betelgeuse and Bellatrix. But this is very beautiful photo. We call this one, you can see, have you seen the red image, those red light around, Orion's body? So upside is Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, and here is Rachel. And here is a half circle. And also on the head of the Orions has a really, really red nebula. I really love this photo. This is what we call Bernard loops. Okay, this is Bernard loops. But the whole area, this whole area is a lot of like a beautiful nebula, and also suggest lots of new star is developing in this area. The importance of Bernard loop is quite interesting. The first Bernard loops photo was taken by American astronomer Edward Bernard. That's why we call it name. Edward Bernard in 1894. 1894. He is a pioneer of astrophotography. In that time, we don't have equipment, and you don't have a way to do the long exposure. You need a long exposure to make this photo. So you can see those hydrogen alpha nebula come out of Orion. So I take a lot of photo and stack them together. So usually you will see a lot of noise. We call it noise. Those white spots is noise. Then I have to try to eliminate them and make this photo. I also quite like when we're talking about Orion's Belt, I will show you near Alnilam has a beautiful, 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 I don't know how many times I will say it, nebula. We call it Horsehead Nebula. Now you see this photo here. This one is Alnilam, and this one is the not Mintaka. What do we call Alnitak. This is Alnitak. Right next to Alnitak is two nebula. One called Flame Nebula. You see. Let me show you the bigger picture then. Here, Flame Nebula and Horsehead Nebula.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is two photos I took in different time, and it's very beautiful. I really like this, and it's an easy target, because the one challenge for people who start to take astrophotography is you have to know where it is, because your eye couldn't see it. That if there is a fixed star, it's very easy for you. A bright star is very easy for you to target. So this is one part of nebula I really like. We call it Horsehead Nebula and the Flame Nebula. It's very beautiful. But nearby, like this photo, you can see here is Horsehead and Flame Nebula, and the lower part is a very famous M42 Great Orion Nebula. I love it. It's so beautiful. What do you think? It's like a bird, beautiful birds.
I like the colors.
Yeah, the colors. Yes, it's a little bit magenta-ish, right? Quite beautiful. Well, this part, the higher part called Running Man. Running Man Nebula. Well, it is very beautiful, and I really enjoy this Orion. There's so many nebula nearby. Also, another one is Rosetta, and I think next time if I have time, I will show you more this kind of photo. So, well, I really hope.
One question.
Yes, please.
These purple magenta nebulas, are they the ones who are in Orion Sword?
Yes, this is the Orion Nebula. Like, okay, let me show you in the sky. You remember we talked about magic fish?
Yes.
This is M42.
Okay.
This is that bird. So you make it large. You only need a binocular to see it. You will see the shape. It's quite beautiful. And so here, this is it. So we see the Orion, right? This is the belt. This is the things you see, the birds here.
Yeah.
M42 Orion Nebula is here. This one. I think some people call it the sword of Orion. So I'm doing my research about this nebula, because it's a sword of Orion. Okay, So thank you. And, you know, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's Let's Talk About Fixed Star. And please, you know, if you like our episode, please like and subscribe. Well, our next episode will be on next month on the 25th March, and we will talk about Ras Alligator. Which constellation it belong to? Christian?
Hercules.
Oh wow, I love it. Hercules. another bodybuilder. Another hero. Okay, so I also want to invite you to join our Facebook Fixed Star group. Okay, you can see the a link here. Also, we have the on our YouTube channel, we have lot of video. Like if you're a beginner, you have me and Alejo making the whole series of 10 minutes astrology. And we also have our Astro Night Live to teach you the basic astrology. And every month, we also have the Mountain Astrology series. So usually, next week is the first week of the month. So we will have our Academy of Astrology faculty team, Marcus and Monday and Sue come back. We will talk about month transit, the transit in March. Okay, so stay in tune and bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.